Lance is going to have the questions. I've not seen these questions. He'll read the questions. I will just respond, and then Lance will jump in, and we'll try to answer your questions to the best of our ability. Here comes question number 1.
Okay, so question number 1 comes from Bernard of Sacramento, California. So Bernard, if you're watching, hello. So Super Bowl 56 will be in SoFi Stadium. What are the chances of the Rams playing at home in the Super Bowl next season?
I think I saw the gambling odds are like 11-1. But if you're asking me, what are the odds that they go to the Super Bowl next year? I'm going to say they have a 1 in 7 chance. I think there are 7 teams in the NFC right now off the top of my head that could vie for that ability to go and actually play for the Super Bowl next year. Maybe 8 if Dak comes back and plays with Dallas. So I think there could be 8 teams. I think half of that conference has an opportunity. That's a strong conference in my opinion. There are a lot of really good teams in that conference. So I would love to say that the Rams have a great chance now that they have Stafford, but I think they've got an okay chance. They're going to make it to the playoffs. If Aaron Donald is as good as he was this year, which is not easy to be as good as you were the year prior, if all those receivers come back and are as good as they were, if the offense clicks like they were, I think they could be a pretty good team. Let's be honest, though. Matthew Stafford has a history of a lot of injuries. Matthew Stafford has a history of having difficulty actually staying on the field. He'll stay out there until you tell him he can't anymore, but doctors pull him off. And they play in a tough division. Like that NFC West is a tough division. You got Arizona, Seattle. You got the 49ers coming back healthy. They're not even a shoo-in to win their own division. So do they have a chance? I think they have a 1 in 8 chance to come back. What do you think?
Yeah, from the division alone, that is stacked already. So imagine facing San Francisco with the returning starters, and you have still Russell Wilson is still one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL, and you have like a Mike Vick type of a quarterback in Kyler Murray.
Who's only getting better.
Who's only getting better, plus having a DeAndre Hopkins. So their partnership will only grow better because they've only played one season.
Agree.
So with the benefit of having a training camp, imagine what they can do. So at quarterback, they got a little better against the Rams, that is. But just like we've continually mentioned in this program time and time again, it's hard to bank on a defense to continually be epic over a long period of time, not even for 2 seasons. I mean, 2000 Ravens was elite, but by 2001, they were so-so. So with this defense, even though they have Donald, they have Ramsey, they have John Johnson, and all of the guys, it really is hard to bank on the defense to carry you for like 2 seasons. So that's something that is going on against them. So it would be an uphill climb for them to follow what Tampa Bay is doing this year, and that is to play at home in the Super Bowl.
All right, let's go to question number 2.
Okay, question number 2 is from Arvin from Ohio. So Arvin would like to ask, would it be better for the NBA to just cancel the All-Star game this season?
I talked about this earlier with LeBron James complaining about, like, I don't feel like playing. No. Listen, I want to see some health data. If you can show me health data that shows me that these guys are in jeopardy of getting sick or ill, or somebody else is in jeopardy of getting ill from playing this game, then I'm all for canceling it. I'm all for canceling anything that puts people in harm's way, in the risk of this virus or anything else. But if you can't show me that, if you can't show me that this is any more dangerous than playing a regular game, then I want to be entertained. And you are entertaining me. That is your job. That's why you get all the money that you get. And to me, the NBA right now has got to be struggling financially. They can't put people in seats. They can't fill up stadiums. So they're not making the money that they were making. Every game on TV, including the All-Star game, brings revenue into the NBA that helps pay for everything. So players saying that they will not participate or don't want to participate in something that will bring money into the coffers of the company that they work for is absolutely positively ridiculous to me. I cannot understand the mentality behind these guys to think that it's okay to request to not play. So do I think that the game should be canceled? No, not unless you can show me that there is some real scientific data that that shows that by playing this game, that these guys are under some type of risk, additional risk than they're already taking. If there's not any additional risk for being sick or being ill, then go to work. That's what you're supposed to do. Thoughts?
Well, they could have a stripped down all-star game, without much fanfare. I guess they can just have the game itself without really the skills competition. It is a staple of the season already to have an all-star game. So,
100%.
and of course, especially for the first-time all-star, first-time players who will participate in an
Oh,
all-star,
yeah.
it will be
Yeah.
a very memorable event
Of
for
course.
them, even without the fans. And of course, not to mention the money that comes in with those incentives when you reach the all-star lineup. So
Of
uh,
course.
they can pull off an all-star game, a stripped down that is, without too much of the fanfare, just the staple attractions of an all-star weekend.
Let me just interject really quick. I don't think it's taken into account enough. And people talk about it like, oh, it's just a game. It's just a game. It is just a game. But like sports are a part of our lives.
Yeah.
These guys that are being paid these millions of dollars are being paid that because they are a part of our lives. I remember where I was when Michael Jordan won his championships. Like I remember watching Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant playing an all-star game together. I didn't know that Kobe was going to be Kobe, but it's nice to go back into my memory and say, wow, I remember that. I remember the dream team. I remember for the first time ever seeing those guys. In my mind, that was the first time ever. Of course, they'd played together before. Of course, they'd been in all-star games. Of course, they'd all been on, so at least some of those guys have been on the same team before. But to see the dream team back then was like something that you just don't forget. So every year, watching these players play is like an earmark for us. I remember when I was 42 years old and I watched so-and-so play against so-and-so. I remember being 37 years old going to my first Major League Baseball All-Star game. I remember being 35 years old going to my first Super Bowl. I remember almost every detail. I remember the smells. I remember the taste. I remember the sounds. I will never forget those. Those moments in sports are a part of my life. Just like this All-Star game could be a moment for somebody. Now, you can't say the same thing about the NFL Pro Bowl. You can't say the same thing. But you can say the same thing about Major League Baseball All-Star game. You can say the same thing about the NBA All-Star game. Those are moments when people watch. The ratings are high. People care. People want to see the greatest superstars in the world on the same team going against the other group of greatest superstars in the world. And taking that away from us because you don't feel like it is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. Now, again, show me the data, show me some science that tells me these guys could get sick, that this is detrimental to their health, and I'm all for canceling the game. Now, let's go to our last question.
Okay, final question comes from George from New England. So George would like to ask if Tom Brady will win a Super Bowl with Tampa Bay, how will it change your perception on Bill Belichick?
So my perception of Bill Belichick, I believe, is somewhat in line with everybody else's, but let me just give it to you, and you tell me what you think about it. My perception of Bill Belichick is that he is by far the greatest coach of all time. What isn't said enough is, along with all the Super Bowls that Bill Belichick has, he's got 2 Super Bowls as an assistant coach of the New York Giants, who at the time had one of the most amazing defenses of the era. Now, to put that in context, they also had Lawrence Taylor. They had Peppers. I'm trying to think of who else they had on they had 4 linebackers that were Carson. I can't remember their 4th linebacker, but they had 4 linebackers that were fantastic at the time when the 3-4 defense was just becoming the rage. So a lot of teams didn't run the 3-4. And when you ran against the New York Giants, you had to account for the fact that they had 4 amazing, super high athletes at linebacker. Lawrence Taylor was revolutionizing what an outside linebacker could do. These are all things that were happening, but they were all things that were happening under Bill Belichick as a defensive coordinator. So a lot of people don't think about that. Then he goes and doesn't do so well in Cleveland, has a minute he spends with the Jets, goes to New England. Okay, Tom Brady comes along and gives him his quarterback. But Bill Belichick is, until proven otherwise, the greatest coach we've ever seen. So if Tom Brady were to win a Super Bowl in Tampa Bay, I think all that proves to me is that Tom Brady is a great quarterback. And it also proves to me that Tom Brady just spent the last 20 years learning the game from one of the greatest football minds that we'll ever know. Now, Tom might win this Super Bowl, but when you compare the roster in New England against the roster in Tampa Bay, you cannot tell me that those are the same thing. You cannot tell me that those are the same teams. Let me ask you a question to whoever wrote this question out there. Let me ask you this question. Take Tom Brady out of Tampa Bay. Put him back in New England. Take Bill Belichick, move him from New England into Tampa. And who's got a better record? Bill Belichick with the team in Tampa or Tom Brady with the team in New England? I would not hesitate to say that I don't think that the New England Patriots would be 7-9 without Bill Belichick and with Tom Brady. I think they'd be much worse. I think Bill Belichick pulled miracles there to take what was, without a shadow of a doubt, a shitty quarterback in Cam Newton, no wide receivers, no offense at all to speak of, and somehow be 7-9. Look, I think the proof is in the pudding. Tom Brady is surrounded by all-stars. He's got 3 Pro Bowl quality running backs. Wide receivers. He's got 2 Pro Bowl quality running backs. He's got a Hall of Fame tight end. He's got a good defense. And he's got a coach whose motto is no risk it, no biscuit. So just go out there and chuck it. I do not think that this hurts Bill Belichick's legacy at all. I think Tom Brady got to pick and choose where he was. Bill Belichick stayed where he was, dealt with the disaster that he had created himself by, in his own words, selling out to win a few Super Bowls, put himself in cap hell. Bill Belichick made a brilliant move by talking to his players and saying, hey, if you guys want to opt out, this is the year to do it. Opt out this year. Next year, you'll be able to come back. I'll take the cap space we have this year. I'll roll it into next year, and we'll be able to build a team where no one else is going to be able to do it. Watch what New England does next year.
Yeah, I do have some questions regarding New England, though. Just throwing it out there. Do you think Cam Newton will be back next season for the Patriots? And before you answer that, historically, though, remember when Brady had his first full-time season as the starter? I believe the Patriots had like 5-11 record. That was Brady's first season as the full-time starter, and they started 5-11. And the season after, that's the time they won the Super Bowl. So this could be a case again of like Belichick revisiting a situation like 2 decades ago, wherein he sucked for that first season and then brought the quarterback again, and then eventually won. And you're right about all of the opt-outs, because the people who opted out, especially on defense, were like their marquee players, and like Patrick Chung and Dante Hightower. So exactly. That gravely affected how they were able to defend against the other teams. And in terms of really defense, Bill Belichick is one of the greatest minds in terms of defense. I cannot help but always remember how he was able to game against the high-powered K-Gun offense of Buffalo before.
Yeah, exactly.
They just allowed Thurman Thomas to run like hell, but they didn't allow like the Andre Reeds to gain a lot of yards, and they still won by 1. So it's that kind of sacrifice and that kind of ingenuity that I guess will define Bill Belichick's coaching career. But greatest, I would have to put him into consideration, because there's still a Bill Walsh over here. And I hope that this year, though, my fear is that sometimes we see a time wherein coaches, the game just goes by coaches. Like we saw it in Tom Landry, we saw it in Don Shula. The game just blew by them. It evolved way past their mentality, and I hope that this won't be the start for Bill Belichick in New England.
Let me tell you what's going to happen in New England, and then we'll wrap up the show. New England has a plan, and here's the plan. Bill Belichick will do anything he can to get a rookie quarterback this year. And not because he wants to work with some young guy, but because Bill Belichick wants a rookie quarterback under a rookie contract. That's what he wants. He understands that he's only got 4 or 5 years left as a coach. I mean, the guy's in his 70s, or it's close to his 70s. I don't even know how old he is now, but he's only got a couple years left. He knows this is his final window. So if you really want to show people you're the greatest coach of all time, you get a really, really young quarterback. You get him on a 5-year rookie deal. You take the next 3 or 4 years, you grow him into a star quarterback. You do what you do well, which is build your defense. You groom this quarterback the same way you did Tom Brady. You're right back in it with a cheap guy at quarterback, which brings me to really the answer of your question. I'm sorry I went so long around it. Cam Newton will not play in New England this year. As a matter of fact, I believe Cam Newton will not play football anymore. I made a prediction about 6 months ago. I'm sorry, it wasn't 6 months ago. In the middle of the season, I made a prediction. I didn't want to say 6 months ago. Halfway through the season, I made a prediction that Cam Newton would not play football after this year, but instead would end up next year in either the Monday Night Football booth or Sunday afternoon football, Thursday night football. Cam Newton is going to be a star in the broadcast booth because Cam Newton knows football. Cam Newton is a great communicator. Cam Newton's a good-looking guy. Cam Newton's got a lot of energy. Cam Newton has got a tremendous sense of humor. Cam Newton is made for broadcasting, and Cam Newton loves the spotlight and loves to dress up. So he's perfect for television. He's just not a great quarterback. And I'm sorry to say that. He was a revolutionary athlete at the position, but just never turned into a great quarterback. All right. That's going to wrap us up one more time. If you guys go over to Sports Trading System and you click on it's called a lead pipe lock, go to sportstradingsystems.com, lead pipe lock, normally $49. If you click the button, it'll take you right to our Super Bowl picks. It's our first time ever doing $49. You get all of our Super Bowl picks for the weekend. Go over and check it out. Also, go over and check out Lance Fernandez and the boys and girls over at whatsonsports.com. Lots of great articles, including some great picks for the weekend. My name is John Todora. We are the What's on Sports podcast, and we're out of here.